Okay, I have our vehicle upside down at the time. I'm going to take this piece with the bar and these two big squares. There's an indent here and here, so I can place them right in on those indents. Then I'm going to take my screws and put in each one of these 4 holes on each brick, and we're going to screw them in. Now this time I can see the tip of the screw poking out of the hole. So I'm going to screw it through this side first, just enough that it's gripped on so that when I place it onto here, it'll be easy for me to screw it onto the Jeep. So I'm just going to repeat that with each one of these holes. There are 2 different size screws that came with it in the bag. I am using the slightly bigger of the 2 sets of screws. So although they do send you a tool that has a Phillips head screwdriver at the end of it that you can use for the install, I did find it much easier to use my own screwdriver because it has a little bit of a magnetic touch to it, so it holds on to the screws a little bit better. So that way I was able to place the screw in and use the screwdriver to push it right up into place. I did screw it through just partially, like 1/4 of the way, just enough that the screw held onto the hole in place. You can see a closer view of that. So once each of these bricks have all 4 of the screws in each of them, we can now place it into the indents on here, which are marked as number 1 and number 2. Once that's lined up, we can now push those screws through the rest of the way, twisting them into the holes that are below here. So that way it connects onto the vehicle. You do want to be careful not to over tighten them just because it is plastic. So you do not want to strip the plastic so much that the screws don't hold anymore. So once you feel that it is tightened onto there, don't continue to just force it. So now we're going to take this piece, we're going to take the wire part of it, and we're going to feed that through the hole here under the bar. And then we're going to stick this opening right onto the bar. I'm going to repeat that same thing on the other side. Now that I have these placed on here, we're going to put the tire over it. Mom is not playing no games. Let's try a different wheel. Does this have loose plastic? No, this one will go on much smoother. Good. Now that's the way it's supposed to go. Okay, the motor for our wheel has little indents, so we just make sure that we line up the indents on the tire with its motor and push it right into there. Once we have all these pieces on here, we're going to take our washer and put it on. And then we're going to take our nut with the rubber piece that's on there. There's like a little dark blue rubber piece in there that is going to face towards your tire. And you're simply going to screw that on. So I'm going to leave it with the little blue seal facing away from the tire instead of in towards the tire. It just looks like that is the appropriate shape because the more flat flush side is on the inside and the more rounded smooth side is facing outward.
But just for the record, basically like your husband told you.
No, the way I said, the opposite of what my husband told me, for the record. because he's always wrong and his wife is always right. I will make note while you are tightening these bolts onto here with the tool that they give you, you do need to make sure you hold this bar still, because otherwise you are going to reach a point when there's a little bit of resistance. It's just going to make the bar keep spinning and it will no longer tighten your bolt. In fact, I almost wonder if maybe that rubber seal is to make sure that you don't over tighten the bolt, so that way you don't have the hole that's in the middle like poking out where it's like a rough, dangerous edge, to leave it like a nice smooth edge. So our next step, our two pieces are actually connected right here with a zip tie. So we're going to cut that zip tie so we can get to our next two pieces. Okay, so I'm going to take this piece, the part with the springs is going to be going here. The identical piece that matches it will go over here. And then the bar in the middle is going to go with our bar here. So although I do need to remove this piece that's on here at the moment so that I can place it onto here, then the bar will return to here. Okay, so I'm going to pull this pin out. Take the washer off on each after we pulled the pin out. Okay, so I put the bar in each of the holes and lined it up with this one as well. Now we can put our pins and our washers back in. They do supply new pins to use. Okay, I'm going to push down the spring so it exposes the part I need to get to. I'm going to put my washer on and then put the pin through the hole. And we can open this pin so that way it stays securely in place. And now we can repeat that on the other side. I'm pushing on the spring, putting the washer on, putting our pin through the hole. And then I'm just wrapping the ends of the pin split two different ways, like in a Y, and then wrapping them around the bar just to make sure they are as tightly on there as possible. And then on this bar that's going to connect to the steering, I'm going to put a washer on here as well and stick a pin through this hole also. And again, I am going to wrap the length of this pin around the bar so that way it's not in the way and it stays on there. Next, we're going to install our front wheels. So we're going to place the wheel on each side. Oh, this was the one that was messed up. On my last wheel, there was a little excess plastic on the inside that was making it difficult for me to get on the bar. So I am just going to take a little sanding paper or a sanding bar to file that down so that way I can fit it onto the bar easy. Okay, so I decided to use my drill to make the hole a little bit wider. See if that was enough. That did the trick. So on this side again, we can now place our washer and the nut. Okay, so now we're going to be installing the steering wheel. So the first thing we need to do, the screw that is already installed in the steering wheel needs to come out. So I personally decided to take my needle nose pliers that are not supplied. They are my own personal pair. I am going to hold the nut still on this side and unscrew this. I'm going to keep both these pieces because we are going to need to put them back in then after the steering wheel is connected. I am also going to remove this zip tie because although it did help hold the wire out into place, it's going to give me a little bit too much extra slack once it is connected. So we're going to take the plug on the steering wheel. I'm going to make sure I match up the 3 holes on the plug on the steering wheel with the 3 metal prongs that are on the Jeep. Okay. Once you have it pushed in all the way, there is a little plastic piece here that will kind of latch on into place to keep it securely on so it doesn't come apart when it's not supposed to. Now, on the base here, this metal bar has a hole through it. So that screw that we took out of our steering wheel is going to go through one side of the steering wheel, through this bar, and come out on the other side, and then we'll put our nut back on there. Okay, I believe I have my holes lined up. Let's find out if I actually do. Maybe not. Okay. Let's try it. You know, the reason why you usually do not want to use a drill when you're building something like this is because there is a lot of soft plasticky materials that can be stripped very easily. So unfortunately, although drills do things faster, a lot of times they're a little too powerful. Okay, again, I'm going to use my screwdriver to just hold the screw still at this point, and then I'm going to take this side and tighten it. Or we could do it the other way. We could hold this side still and tighten the screw, whichever you feel will be easier for you. I think it might actually be easier for me to do it the other way. I'm going to hold that side still and just continue to tighten my screw a little more. That is definitely in there all the way. Beautiful. Now it's time for the power. We're going to take our loose wire here. Red goes with red and black goes with black. So the black wire here is already connected. So I'm going to take my red wire, and I see they have a little bit of red paint here to show me that is the red side. I have that pressed in here. So we're removing this plastic cap that was on here. And now this wire can connect onto here. And this is the part I'm not sure how to do, how to connect it properly. We need to connect our wheels to each other. So if we take each one of these, and I'm going to connect them together, and then I'm going to take this last piece in the middle and connect it to the actual power here. So right in the middle is our hole for the power source. Perfect. Now that everything is connected, we're going to turn our power on a minute and make sure it works. Now we're going to install the seat. I'm going to attach the back of the seat onto the bottom of the seat first. You can press it until you hear it click into place. So once it's clicked into place and you know it's on there securely, again, we're going to take these points and put it into the corresponding holes on here, leaving the seatbelt in the right position so that it's not getting screwed underneath. I'm going to make sure the back plastic pieces here are tilted down so they can lip into the holes there as well. Now, although the seat feels pretty secure already, I am still going to take the screws in the holes right here and here to fix it on there securely. We can take this end of the seat belt and latch it onto here, and take this end of the seat belt and latch it on to here. So now we have our 5-point harness that is easily opened with that button right in front. This piece is going to go right in front here. And simply clicks right into place. You'll literally hear it kind of snap into place once it's gripped on. Okay, we're going to take this piece, move our seatbelts out of the way, and we can click it onto here. And place these up here. Okay, when you're snapping this back piece on, you'll notice there's two little indentations that are sticking out right here and right here. So you want to make sure you pull this on the outside of those indentations, because otherwise it will squeeze onto the inside and it won't click into place. So if you pull this out here and here to make sure that it's going into the right spot, we'll put our side view mirrors on. So our remote has a screw in the back, so we can open this up and put 2 AAA batteries in. And we can take our plug that was right below our seat here, right here, and plug it in for the night. And then we'll test it out tomorrow.